The views and opinions expressed on Under the Moon Paranormal is solely of the creator and do not necessarily reflect the views, opinions of the listener. Listener discretion is advised. Also, GPT and AI technologies were not used or harmed during the creation of this episode. So, a little quick announcement before we start. Opinions are welcome in the YouTube comments. This is why I don't like putting things out there on YouTube, because there are people that want to comment and be like, you got this wrong, you said this wrong. Listen, nobody said I was perfect. I'm new at doing this, and I don't really care about your opinions. I just read from the notes that I've wrote while researching the topic. Remember, I do all of this by myself. This is independent, 100% independent. So cut me a little bit of slack, okay, guys? So if my accent and the way I research things doesn't bother you, I'm just here to bring you the facts and the history of Ohio and some creepy stuff in between. All right. So today, since it's the 1-year anniversary of the podcast, we are going to revisit the first topic I ever did, which was Eugene the Mummy. So let's dive right into it, shall we? First, we're going to talk a little bit about the full moon in March called the Worm Moon. The Worm Moon of March 2024 is Libra in the major air sign. Libra is the sign of the zodiac. During this full moon, you may feel aware of the need for balance in your life. This may even be balance in work and play. Taking care of yourself and others, or finding a balance between your own needs and the needs of those around you. This can also be an important time to focus on self-care and self-improvement. Libras love spa days and beauty treatments. So, the date of the full moon is Monday, March 25th. So, hey, it's another full moon, so here we are talking about some spooky Ohio stuff, right? The worm moon gets its name because in March the soil begins to warm and the first signs of life begin to return as earthworms, beetle larvae, grubs come out of their winter hibernation. These invertebrates are some of the earliest spring food sources for birds and animals. Makes it possible to begin planting and gardening after the winter. So yay, the sun is going to warm up the earth again. So, full moon in Libra means the resolution and development of impersonal relationships, self-love, and romance are at the forefront of our desires. Therefore, we can expect to experience change and growth in relationships and personal matters. If situations or partnerships have become imbalanced, this is the time in which it is necessary to implement structure, even if it takes a lot of work. If you're ready to roll up your sleeves and put energy into bettering partnerships, mindsets, or yourself, this full moon will be an extremely transformative and healing time. We will want to win in whatever we do, which will give us the strength to tackle what matters that requires a lot of work, effort, and determination. The good news is that we will emerge stronger and victorious more than ever before. The full moon in Libra is one of the most important moments of the month, and you will want to connect to the energetic potential it holds. Act with equanimity and a sense of justice and diplomacy. Be aware of opportunities that arise through our relationships. If you need to take the initiative and not hesitate to move forward. On the other hand, a pessimistic attitude will harm you. So I'm going to add this link here if you want to look up each zodiac sign for yourself to see what the full moon during this month brings to you in your specific zodiac sign. Okay? So, we're traveling back to Sabina, Ohio. Sabina, a charming village in Clinton County, Ohio, has a rich history. So, founding in the early days, the town of Sabina was laid out by Warren Sabin, or Sabine, maybe. It's named Sabina, so his name might be Sabin. If I get this, wrong, I apologize, okay? So this happened in 1830, after whom it was named. The original plate of the town, recorded on December 6, 1830, contained 37 lots. By 1833, Sabina already had 2 stores and 2 taverns. Incorporation and memorial appointment in 1859, the town was officially incorporated, and M. Morris became the appointed mayor. Archaeologist sites near the village, you'll find the Beam Farm Woodland Archaeological District, a group of archaeological sites. These sites were once inhabited by the Andaman and Hopewellian peoples. The district is listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Sabina is located along routes 22 and 3, approximately 10 miles east of Wilmington, and it's also an hour's drive of Columbus, Dayton, and Cincinnati. There are a couple of parks in Sabina. The Clinton-Fayette Friendship Trail starts at Melvin Road and continues through Sabina, ending at Borum Road. The village park features a shelter house, 2 swing sets, a walking path with a connecting footbridge to the Richland Township Park. So the population from the 2020 census, Sabina had a total population of 2,499 people. The racial makeup of the village was predominantly white, with a mix of other ethnic backgrounds. Sabina's neighborly spirit, kind residents, and beautiful surroundings make it a wonderful place to call home. Whether you're exploring its history or enjoying the local parks, Sabina truly lives up to its nickname, the Eden of Ohio. Sorry, my mic's like right in front of my face. You'll hear it move. Okay. So, let's go back to Eugene. Now, for the ones that listen to the podcast on YouTube, you will not find the Eugene episode because it's a Spotify podcast exclusive. So, let's revisit Eugene. On a balmy summer day in June of 1928, a man was discovered deceased in a ditch near the intersection of Highway 3 and Borum Road in rural Sabina. He was taken to Littleton Funeral Home, where he was examined and embalmed. It was estimated the man was between 50 to 80 years old. The mysterious man, who no one recognized, appeared to have passed away from natural causes, as there was no visible signs of trauma. He had no identification on him, but there was a single sheet of tablet paper with the address, 1118 Yale Avenue, Cincinnati, in his pocket. Cincinnati police were dispatched to the address and found it was a vacant lot. The closest residence to the Yale Avenue address belonged to a man named Eugene Johnson. So from on that point, the John Doe was given the name, and they called him Eugene. Eugene's body sat at Littleton Funeral Home, where an employee had the idea to dress him in a suit and prop his body in a nearby outbuilding on the property with the hope that someone would recognize him. But he would remain there for 30 years, until 1964, unidentified. Why? Why would they, this is what really confuses me, just to leave him in that tiny shed behind the funeral home on display. So, if you're thinking about Ohio, right? If you're not from Ohio, do you think Ohio ever had mummies? Like, this ain't ancient Egypt. This quote Eugene became a tourist attraction. He had been viewed by 1.5 million people over the span of 1929 to 1964. That's a long time for all those people to come and see this man and never be identified by anybody. The funeral home has kept books where visitors would sign in to see Eugene. At one point, his body, not at one point, this was actually several incidents where Eugene's body was stolen by college pranksters and pranksters around the town, taken to a party at Ohio State University. His exploits weren't limited to a frat party, though. Here's an excerpt from the local Sabina historical website. Eugene was a famous figure back then, especially at Halloween. He often appeared on the front porches of homes with a little help from his friends and terrorized more than a few houses. Some of his fingers were missing, but he kept well dressed in the black suit, and had rather serene look of composure on his face. Wow. Fortunately, after all these ill-conceived adventures, this guy, quote Eugene, was returned and placed back in his little building, waiting for identification. And maybe that day has come. Eugene, quote Eugene, he's been talked about all over TikTok. People aren't really happy what happened to him, and I don't blame them. I've never been happy about it. I've always wanted to know what this guy's real name was. Always wanted to know, because I know his name isn't Eugene. That's just what they call him. Finally, on a cool October day in 1964, Eugene was given a proper burial. It was Mr. Littleton, the owner of the Littleton Funeral Home, who purchased a lot in Sabina Cemetery and took care of all expenses associated with his burial. He was fitted with a brand new suit and a custom headstone that bore the single name, Eugene. After all the years and countless unknown escapades, the man they called Eugene was never identified. He did manage to make quite a name for himself, I'll bet. Eugene, a true legend of a little Ohio town. In the Eden of Ohio, there was a mummy named Eugene. After all, do dead men tell no tales? So this link I'm going to provide is from Find a Grave, actually. And I'm going to conclude this other one called Dead Men Tell No Tales, the story of Ohio's mummy. It has his death certificate in here in this one. And if you click on it and blow it up, he was found on Highway 3. His height was unknown. His address was unknown. And everything says unknown. And it says name of deceased, name unknown, called Eugene with quotes. And it says June 1929. His headstone actually said 1928 for a long time. They just recently fixed the headstone to make it say 1929 because that's what the death certificate says. But they probably had to make this death certificate just to bury him, honestly, because it says the date for burial 10/21/1964, Sabina Cemetery, and his death is in June 6, 1929. So his little burial death certificate is right there on this website. And there's a picture of his headstone that says the 1928. So there's Eugene, found dead, 1928, buried 1964. But now I understand that they have fixed it to where it says 1929. So also I'm going to read this little article that's attached to his Find a Grave. Now, I have emailed Galen Spratt about this Ohio mummy, only for the fact that he probably won't talk to someone like me just because of my skin color. I mean, I wouldn't. If I was him and all these white people were gawking at me for like 35 years after I died, I wouldn't want to talk to them either. But Dalen's special, okay, y'all? Galen Spratt is a special guy that has all these beautiful guides that follow him cemetery to cemetery, and maybe, just maybe one of the guides might know if this mummy moved on, or maybe his name, perhaps. So anyway, I'm going to read this article and I'm going to attach it to the show notes. And Eugene might have a name. All right, here we go. Charlie, Sabina personage, is dead. Sunday, death ended in the career of Sabina's unknown resident, a man only known by the name of Charlie, whose age had been estimated at 70 years. 40 years ago, Charlie, then a man thought to be around 30 years of age, was given employment at the Rap House, well-known hotel of the village of Sabina. It's a piece of paper that's been photocopied, so it's hard to read. A tireless worker and causing little trouble to the proprietors of the hotel, no inquiry was made into his life. As time wore on, Charlie refused to discuss his life, other than once stating when he worked in the mines at the Montoon, Illinois. This was the only feature of his life he ever disclosed. Throughout the years he remained at Sabina, no one ever doubted his honesty. He was familiarly known as Charlie Rap House. Several years ago, the hotel was discontinued and the Rap House became a rooming house. Charlie, whose health had begun to decline, remained, although efforts were made to have him disclose his name. Charlie steadfastly refused. He received or sent no mail, or contracted other business which might have given a clue to his identity. He had been suffering from a heart trouble the last several weeks, and Sunday, when he failed to answer the morning call, an investigation proved that he had died during the night. Funeral services will be held at home of the Rapp sisters, Tuesday in charge of Reverend W.C. Peters, burial in charge of H.L. Littletop will be made in the Sugar Grove Cemetery. So, what's interesting is this man supposedly died at home where the mummy was found on the side of the road. And it sounds like he had a funeral and was buried when he died. So, I don't know, but it's something. Like maybe this Charlie knows who the unidentified male is. You know? It's very interesting. And I hope that if I ever get to make it out to Sabina Cemetery, that he will, want a friendly person to talk to that can hear him, with the spirit box. Or maybe if Dalen makes his way out to Ohio, he can stop by Sabina Cemetery and find Charlie Rap House and Eugene. So if we could find Charlie Rap House's grave, that would put an end to his name being Charlie. But either way, the mystery goes on with Eugene the Mummy. So I got one story for you guys this month. If you would like your story read, please email me at underthemoonparapod@gmail.com and I will read your story on the show. So this one says, on his way to get married, a military man and his best man set off on an 800-mile road trip from Camp Lejeune in North Carolina to Lafayette, Indiana. It's 1 a.m. on a cold January night in 2014, and the man tells Monsters Among Us podcast that the weather is bad and the temperature are in the negative double digits. Okay. As the pair close in on Indianapolis, they discover they have no money to pay for gas to refuel the car they are about to run out. So here's where all the quotes happen, okay? Growing up in the trucking industry with my dad, I decided to stop at a truck stop. But because the main interstates were shut down due to the weather, they had cut off the highway and searched for a truck stop along the back roads instead. We found a smaller truck stop. It had one truck, and it was just kind of strange. And it was just a blacked out truck with a blacked out trailer, and there was no real markings on it, nothing distinguishable. They went in hoping for a clerk or waitress to spot them a few dollars for enough for gas to make it to Indianapolis, at which time they'd go to the bank and take out the cash and pay back the loan. Inside, they found a tidy diner occupied by a waitress, cook, and a lone truck driver. I went inside and talked to this driver, and he bought us a cup of coffee. We sat there and talked for about 30 minutes about what was going on and why we were headed the way we were headed, and where we were and what we were doing. That's a lot of information to give a stranger, dude, okay? He gave us $20 for gas. I went outside, pumped for gas, came back in, and I told him, hey, I really appreciate it. I'll be right back. Making good on his word, the man got the cash from the bank upon arriving in Indianapolis and returned to the diner. When we arrive at about 10 o'clock in the morning, it's all boarded up, he says. It looked like it had been abandoned for years, and the truck's gone. But we had just been in there. They pull in anyway and find a police officer parked in the lot. They explain what happened just hours before, to which the cop chuckles and replies, oh, you've met the ghost of the three. So, 2 military members converse, had a cup of coffee with, interacted with 3 people at a diner that had a fuel pump, got $20 worth of gas, said the man. When I came back, it was all boarded up. For if I remember correctly, the cop said that it had been boarded up for the last 25 years. Holy smokes. Well, that was interesting. What did you guys think? You can tell me in the comments if you're not rude about it. Okay, so remember, if you have a spooky story of your own that you want to share, email me at underthemoonparapod@gmail.com. And remember, this is a monthly podcast. It comes out once a month, or if there's 2 full moons a month, there will be 2 episodes. Every full moon, you'll see me over here by the campfire talking about creepy ass Ohio. And always remember, my friends, stay spooky.